Yeah, so of course in co-op we'll be fighting against AI-controlled enemies, and we've got a whole variety of them for you. So the most basic enemy type are going to be enemy biplanes. So right now we have 3 ideas so far. The first type is going to be a Gatling gun biplane that's going to be doing armor-piercing damage and try to set you up for some bigger enemies. These aren't the guys who are going to be dealing the death blow of any sort. Another idea for biplanes is maybe an explosive guy, maybe a flamethrower. A lot of this is still TBD, and we just have to figure out what is going to be the most interesting kind of swarming type of enemy. Again, biplanes aren't the ones that are going to be dealing the death blows. That's going to be reliant on other enemy types. So basically you can spend some time and even ignore the biplanes to an extent. But of course, if you let them swarm on you, yeah, they will be able to kill you. The next up is airships. So we don't know how many airships we're going to have, probably a good subset of them. And each airship will have its own very unique tactics and strategies. The one really great affordance we have is that the AA doesn't care if something is interesting to use or not. They're just focused on killing you. Whereas in skirmish mode, we really have to worry about, is this weapon that we're giving you, is that interesting as a player to use, as a human to use? The AI, of course, doesn't care if it's boring. So we're going to get a lot of unique strategies out of that. And then finally, we're going to have a couple of bosses. Bosses are going to be really awesome. They're going to be like the huge hulking mammoths out in the distance. Again, they'll have their own very special, unique gameplay elements associated with them. And again, these are TBD. Some ideas include ones that you have to use stealth to avoid. Other ones are just, will run straight towards you and try to blow you up right then and there. We don't really know yet, but bosses should take a lot of time and a lot of focus. If you know a boss is coming up, basically all your attention is going to be on the boss and trying to deal with that, even if it means using stealth, because that's also a choice that you're going to be making. So, and those are the ideas for enemy types in co-op mode.
Okay, so the enemies, they are faction lines. They will be based on the unique look of each faction. So immediately you're going to be able to tell by the shape of the balloon and by the shape of the hull, the shape of the biplane itself, exactly what faction they're from. Now, within the factions, there's also different roles. So all of the ships will be their silhouettes will be customized so that you can see exactly what their role is on the battlefield. For instance, if you have a fighter, those are going to be a little bit sleeker because they're going to be fast and they're going to do strafing runs, versus like a bomber that's going to be a little bit more heavy and it's going to be slower. Of course, it'll do more damage in the end. One of the ways that we're going to accomplish this variety is we're going to make sure that everything is modular, and we're going to break it up into specific pieces that we can trade out and recombine to create as much variety as possible.
So most of the game modes we're thinking about rely fundamentally on the idea of traveling from one place to another, whether that's escorting cargo or going in for a raid and getting back out, or escorting another NPC VIP ship that you need to protect, things along those lines. So this route concept and that you have to pass through is very fundamental to the way the AI director thinks about it. And its whole goal is to place obstacles periodically along that route, to measure your response to that, how tense it is, how difficult it is, how much trouble you're in at any given moment, and introduce more obstacles as necessary to keep things interesting. The obstacles here, we're talking about squads of biplanes, we're talking about NPC-controlled airships, ground defenses. This could also include things like weather, storms, clouds, potential cover sources, as well as potential hazards. And, of course, it refers to the bosses, which are introduced very rarely and judiciously at key points along this route. The bosses are considerably a bigger deal than your average enemy airship. The average enemy airship is somewhat like an airship you might face in PvP, as we have it right now. Specialized to a particular role that you can identify and respond to. The bosses require your full attention, possibly the full attention of your entire team of ships, in order to meaningfully respond to. Once they're there, you have to either fight them, kill them before they get to you, you have to get around them through use of clouds and cover, but regardless of which one, you have to respond to them.